is SMUSTalks. One of our core values at Rutgers University School is respect. With this in mind, we acknowledge that our school rests in the heart of straight English territory, a living culture with its own rites, ceremonies, and unfolding history. We honor the Esquimalt, Songhees, and Wasanich peoples whose homeland we share and whom we recognize as our neighbors.
Hi everyone, my name is Tina. Thank you for coming to our school's second SMUSTalk event. SMUSTalk is a student-run club allowing individuals to gather and inspire each other through speeches and expressions. The theme for tonight is Think Again. Our four speakers will be recounting the times when they reconsider their thoughts. Our first speaker to welcome to the stage is Beatrice Sharpe.
Thank you, and happy International Women's Day. You're on the couch. It's a Thursday afternoon, and you just can't seem to move. On one hand, you know you have work to do for tomorrow. On the other, the TV show you're watching is super good. Your brain is at a crossroads of paths. How can you, the average couch potato, motivate yourself to get up? For our purposes, we'll call your mind the consciousness car, the car of your very being. The consciousness car is on a journey on the road of life. On this road of life, there are highways, off-ramps, and intersections. Every decision you make takes the car in a new direction, on a new path. There are two travelers in your consciousness car, your thinking brain and your feeling brain. Your thinking brain is responsible for all logic and reasoning. It expresses ideas through language, creates plans, does your homework. Your feeling brain represents all of your emotions, making connections with the outside environment to how it thinks you should feel about it. It is the cause of your intuition, primal instinct, and impulses. Your impulses being to stay on the couch. While your thinking brain is calculating the rent for next month, your feeling brain wants to sell everything and run away to go try the seemingly miraculous Fiji water in person. There are advantages and disadvantages to each brain. Your thinking brain is methodical, precise, and rational. It can solve most problems you throw at it. However, the thinking brain is slow to reach conclusions, and it requires a lot of energy, and like a muscle, it gets worn out and needs rest. The feeling brain reaches its emotional conclusions immediately after an event, giving instant feedback. The feeling brain is nature's warning system. If a hungry tiger were next to you, the feeling brain would inform you, A, to be terrified, and B, to get as far away as possible. If the thinking brain were deciding your fate, it would think, big, stripy cat, a tiger. It preys on humans like me, I should, bam, you're officially cat chow. However, your feeling brain's conclusions can be irrationally and not initially coherent. For example, watching TV the night before a big exam or interview instead of using that time for preparation like you know you should. Many thoughts and feelings are tied together, like making tea in the morning. Your thinking brain knows you are thirsty, and your feeling brain wants tea. Great! When your brains agree, life is fantastic. However, this is not always the case, as we know from our couch potato example. But why? Let's go back to the consciousness car. When we think of driving on the road of life, we generally assume that the thinking brain is in the driver's seat, and the feeling brain is in the passenger seat. The feeling brain might suggest taking fun-looking roads that lead to instant gratification, but the thinking brain controls the outcome of the final decision. This assumption is painfully wrong. The feeling brain drives our consciousness car, and we know this because we only act because of our emotions. Why don't we do something we know is significant? Because we don't feel like it. The feeling brain is in control of the consciousness car, and the best our thinking brain can do is come up with a map of suggestions that will one day satisfy our emotional needs. But here's the tricky thing. Our thinking brain can think about the past, present, and future. The feeling brain bases itself in the present. Any feelings about the past or future are scheduled for the now. Because of this, the feeling brain is stubborn to follow any directions the thinking brain comes up with, i.e. not being able to get up off of the couch. Is our brain trying to get us fired? As humans, we have tried to come up with solutions to the reckless driving of our consciousness car. The first one is called meditation. Have you ever heard of staying in the present? Let's get a show of hands. Okay, so almost everyone. Humans have been doing yoga for 5,000 years, a form of bodily meditation that trains your brain to stay in the present. Recently, it has become a societal trend and an excuse for people to wear athleisure, Lululemon yoga pants, and hoodies. But I encourage you to look further. Numerous studies have shown that staying in the present through meditation or other means reduces symptoms of anxiety and depression as much as medication. That is huge. In the context of the feeling brain, anxiety is the fear of the future, and depression is sadness about the past. Who is responsible for the past and future? That's right, the thinking brain. In the context of the consciousness car, anxiety and depression are like the thinking brain's backseat driving. The thinking brain says, "Oh my God, you are an idiot, feeling brain. You missed exit 47. And if you don't turn left now, things will get really awful for you." My theory is that mindfulness, meditation, staying in the present, reduces the conflict between the thinking brain and the feeling brain, leaving the two brains in a balanced state, driving the consciousness car along the road in harmony. The second solution bases itself on the assumption that the thinking brain drives the consciousness car. Unfortunately, this assumption led people to stigmatize the feeling brain because it distracts people from higher callings and more logical goals. Incidentally, this seems logical if you believe the thinking brain drives the consciousness car. However, people who adopt the culture of burying one's emotions leads them to have greater health risks. There's a significant link between your emotional state and the well-being of your body, so much so that the two might be synonymous. According to Healthline, there's a clear link between emotional repression and lower immune systems, which can lead to illness and worsen the symptoms of many diseases. I can speak firsthand to this. In October of grade 10, I went to the International Independent School Public Speaking Competition in Boston. It was a big deal, and because it was a big deal, I was more anxious about it than I had ever been about anything in my entire life. However, at the competition, I made a big mistake. I buried my anxiety. I told myself to feel all my emotions after the conference. Little did I know you cannot schedule emotions. On the last day of the competition, I got a headache so bad I could not sleep. And then the following days at school, I was stressed about missing work and was tired because of jet lag. Believing that I could power through, I buried the emotions. Soon, strong internalized feelings built up and I entered a period of daily chronic headaches. However, I continued to internalize my feelings until I eventually reached a period of numbness and dismay. The headaches were continuously worse, and after 3 months, my family and I consulted a doctor. The next 3 months, my symptoms diversified into heart pains, chronic fatigue, blurred vision, loss of appetite, and occasional fever. No COVID-19 tests came back positive, nor did any results from the numerous blood draws, heart scans, and other tests I did. After 6 months and no answers, the doctors diagnosed me with autonomic dysfunction. Basically, it is your body is not functioning as it should and you don't know why disease. There's no known cause and it usually goes away within 10 to 12 months, and it did with numerous prescribed vitamins that I still take today. But I think I know the real reason. Grade 10 was the most emotionally turbulent year of my life. My family's dynamic was challenging. 5 people I either knew or were related to passed away, and my whole core friend group shifted, on top of being a busy student. Emotionally, I dealt with it the only way I knew how, either by telling myself it would make me stronger or by suppressing it. In the modern world, these are still very prominent beliefs, as well as the idea that rationality and being realistic is the way to optimize our human capabilities. But that is precisely why we have artificial intelligence. AI does not get hungry, buy lottery tickets, indulge in ice cream, skip blood day, or need to sleep. It also cannot connect with people on a personal, emotional basis. To feel is to be human. Emotions are the most beautiful and tragic poetry of humanity. And yet, we are taught that happiness is the goal. We are taught that success is equivalent to happiness, but that's not the driving factor. By always wanting to be happy, we negate the opportunities for reflection when we are sad, for change when we are angry, and for acceptance when we are heartbroken. At our core, emotions are a feedback mechanism. So, do not try to be happy. Instead, learn from what your emotions tell you, both positive and negative. This feedback is how growth happens and informs your consciousness car which roads were right and wrong. So next time you think you're a couch potato, instead of beating yourself up about it, listen to what your feeling brain is telling you. It always has something good to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Beatrice. What a great way to start. Next up, we have YouLan Lee.
Hi everyone, I'm YouLan, and today I will share some personal thoughts about think again and reconsider your thoughts. So every time I think about my future, it just seems dark. The darkness I mean here doesn't just mean about certainty for things like jobs, universities, careers, but also about the fear of making the wrong decisions. Like many of you, I assume, I constantly find myself grappling with decisions about my post-secondary education, where to go for university, whether stay in Canada or go to USA, careers and personal relationships. But what if I told you that the key to navigating through this darkness lies in our ability to think again and just to reconsider our thoughts? Think of it in this way. Our initial reactions and beliefs are often shaped by the nurture received, experiences and information that are available to us at the time. However, as we grow, get in touch with more diverse people and learn new things every day, no matter whether it's about academic or just life in general, it's really crucial to question whether these beliefs still serve us well in this particular stage of life. Are they based on evidence or are they simply inherited assumptions? For me, thinking again isn't just about questioning the beliefs of others, it's also about challenging my own preconceptions and biases. It's about recognizing that my perspective is limited and there are always things that I need to learn and understand. How I realized this mindset, I would say, was a pretty transformative journey for me. I was doing university research and looking at lots of current students and what are their impressions for the universities that they're enrolled in right now. What's the most memorable was a video shared by Princeton undergraduate junior students. He's at his third year at Princeton, who warned students about just making the right decision of just thinking carefully before you commit to a college. His main argument was that not everything is as it seems, and Princeton is a perfect example of this. This is a really elite Ivy League and highly admired and sought after by many students. Yet, this student courageously stepped forward to reveal another side beyond the surface and advocated us to think all aspects before making and committing to a decision. Even though some of the points he made could be pretty only from his own perspective and only limited in his own frame, which is this still shows the importance of consider again before you make a decision, and especially this one is a relatively big life decision, like this prestigious universities. However, taking the time to think again and reconsider your thoughts could potentially just prevent us from making the choices we may later regretful. I'm not saying that reconsider your choices, your decisions can necessarily prevent the later outcomes that may be regretful, but reconsidering could certainly lead to more informed and thoughtful choices. It's about taking a step back and examining our beliefs and motivations, what we truly love, and considering how they align with our values and aspirations. By embracing this process of reflection and self-examination, we empower ourselves to make decisions that are true to who we are and what we want out of life. This transformative journey in thinking taught me the importance of being willing to question my own beliefs and reconsider my thoughts. It's not always easy, and it often requires us to step out of our comfort zone and confronting uncomfortable truths. But in doing so, I've come to realize that uncertainty isn't something to be feared of. Rather, it's an opportunity for growth and self-discovery. Okay, so here's the first point I was trying to make, and now I would like to focus more on reconsidering failure as a step towards growth and learning. Often, as I mentioned previously as well, we are worried about making the wrong choices, wrong decisions, and this fear can indeed paralyze us from just seizing opportunities for growth. But what if we reframe this, not as reframe failure, not as a roadblock, but as a stepping stone to personal and professional development? Let's explore this idea further. When we view failure as an integral part of the learning process, it transforms our approach to challenges and setbacks. Instead of seeing failure as like a reflection of instead of seeing failure as a reflection of our worth or abilities, we see it as an opportunity to learn, grow, and evolve. We recognize that failure is not the opposite of success, but rather a vital component of it. Reconsidering failure as a step towards growth and learning requires us to adopt a growth mindset, a belief that our abilities and intelligence can be developed through dedication and hard work. With a growth mindset, we see failure not only as a permanent setback, but as a temporary setback. A setback that provides valuable feedback and insights to inform our future directions and what we should do in order to improve and avoid it. And just like quick wrap up, and also at the 9 was our scene here, just reconsider yourselves and carefully decide, because that could probably avoid the later regrets you may have. And this is my speech, and thank you for listening.
Thank you, YouLan. And next we have Jessie Wang performing. Thank you, Jessie. And we're back to the second half. And next we have Louise, Anaya.
So today I'll be sharing with you an essay which I wrote. Basically, I just collected all my thoughts, and now that I look at my essay, it allowed me to think again on my perspective on the way in which I choose to live life. So yeah. Most people would argue that the environment around us shapes the person we become to be, and I would agree. As my mom drives down San Isidro Street, memories flood back to me. The red bricks stretching across the block once enclosed me in a world where everything I can imagine was provided, along with the tools to live rather than survive. These bricks now physically separate me from the life I used to know. The garage doors that once opened to my grandparents' smiling faces now reveal a young couple I've never seen. Casa San Isidro was my mother's second childhood home before she moved to attend boarding school in the US. Every time she returned, she felt the same warmth as when she had left. And if you asked me about my childhood memories, I would talk to you about the parties in my grade and the yearly Hanukkah and Christmas parties hosted by my grandparents. I snuck multiple times to my grandma's office to sneak chocolates, and all of these memories were held by Casa San Isidro. Nevertheless, the house outgrew my grandparents' needs and was sold to complete strangers. When I heard the news, tears came to my eyes, wondering what could have been if the house wasn't sold. Learning to live without this house meant growing up with only memories, a reality that scared me. Every time I left my house, I drove past the street that I once called home, trying to recall every detail, including the creaks on the floors. After coexisting with this house for several years, my castles began to crumble, and the relationships with people that I cared about turned into people that would criticize me for my way of being. The teachers that once provided knowledge instilled confusion and would no longer help me. I had to let go of my past and sought experiences for my future. I chose to walk in my mother's footsteps and leave my family in the place that once gave me life but began tearing me apart. I decided to attend boarding school. The plane ride to Canada was beautiful, with each layover my excitement grew. Moving here became my way of escaping that came from Mexico. Became my way of escaping the hate that came from Mexico, where I was once protected by red bricks. Stepping onto this campus felt rebellious, breaking free from the chains that once restrained my shine, fearing neglect from my own people. But my rebellion was also a moment of insecurity. Walking from class to class, I heard languages that I've never heard before. I couldn't distinguish them. And some people looked at me like I was a complete stranger, which I was. Coming from a homogenous community back home, adapting to such diversity was extremely difficult. Waking up in a dorm kept me from the exposure of such a large population, and as the years flew by, I became attached to my community. The dorm, which I now call my room, often becomes the place where I reflect the most. The boarding school I attend is surrounded by small red bricks, and I can't help but imagine that they're the same as those back home. This place has taught me so much about others, enabling me to learn even more about myself. It's become a sanctuary where I find peace with my identity and provides me with people that I can now call family. Recently, Nora encouraged me to think again. Maybe it wasn't the bricks or the house that I was attached to, but the emotions I would feel when I was there. If I didn't know better, I would think that I was home right now. And although I've left Mexico, I can feel my house all around. Thank you.
Thank you, Louise. That was beautiful. Next we have Maya Achuthan.
Thank you. Right, so my essay is something I wrote actually for a scholarship that I didn't get, but it made my mom cry, and it's like the only piece of writing that's ever made her cry, so I thought it'd be really great to share. And it also made me cry while writing it. The prompt was to take a song lyric and apply it to your own life, and I chose Vienna by Billy Joel. And so the lyrics I'm going to read are from the first verse, I'm pretty sure. And I kind of related to my life after that. So I'll start. Slow down,
you crazy child, you're so ambitious for a juvenile. It's funny that my first reaction to this line is pride. I'm proud to be the crazy child. Call me young and ambitious, tell me I'm ahead of my time. I used to thrive in that version of me, striving to keep that image alive no matter the consequences. I want to be the best, do it the fastest, to the highest degree of the greatest quality at the youngest age. I live in the superlative zone. I always have. But then if you're so smart, tell me, why are you still so afraid? Watch the childhood overachiever mature into the high school academic burnout case. Each test an opportunity to fall to mediocrity. Each question answered correctly, followed by a breath of relief. Each word of praise seen as metaphorical confirmation of being on the right track. I'm still smart, right? The girl who could multiply faster than anyone in her 5th grade class can pass calculus, right? But it only takes a single failure to break down that confidence. It's scary that something that means so much to me is so fragile, so breakable, so flimsy. I could find out I'm not the prodigy I used to be within the next month, week, day, hour, or minute. I'm a nervous wreck. What's interesting is that all my motivation is intrinsic. I don't need a voice to yell at me to do better. That voice is already a part of me. Why is it there in the first place? I'm constantly in emergency mode, wringing my hands in existential dread, while my mind wanders to my ever-growing mental to-do list. I feel that it'll never end. Where's the fire? What's the hurry about? You'd better cool it off before you burn it out. They say that a CEO should work on the business rather than in the business. When you get caught up in the details and small inconveniences and logistical nightmares, you become unable to take a step back and look at the big picture. But it's hard to slow down, arguably harder than accelerating. I have to convince myself that I've done enough, prioritize myself over my mind-numbing agenda. The words self-love, self-care, mental health, and well-being get introduced into the conversation, making it difficult to differentiate between the attitude I've always known and the attitude I know I should adopt. Logic kicks in, and I realize that if I push myself to a breaking point, no one else can pick up all the pieces. The importance of taking that step back becomes blatantly clear to me. You've got so much to do and only so many hours in a day. I'm learning how to say no to things that don't fit into the mental to-do list. I'm learning how to prioritize my own needs over my tendency to overwork, realizing that sometimes sitting down and doing absolutely nothing is better than being in a constant state of efficiency. I'm learning that having a full schedule isn't some great thing to strive for. My happiness, stress levels, and productivity have only been improved by learning these things. All hours in a day don't need to be filled up. They just need to be lived through wholeheartedly. I started recognizing the genuine beauty in my closest friendships, lasting memories, and the wonderful simplicity of my home, things I've never noticed before. I know I'm not the crazy child anymore, and I know that's a good thing. Thank you. It didn't get me a full ride at Duke, but I hope it meant something. Listen.
Definitely. Thank you, Maya. What a great way to end. And next we'll have our heads, and they have something to say.
On behalf of the heads, we would like to thank our event organizers, Sherry, our graphic designer, Sophia on cameras, our sponsoring teacher, Mr. Geddes, and our club members, and also the speakers and the performer, of course. And could the club members and speakers and performers stay behind for a photo, please? And thank you everyone for coming.